Good evening, folks. Probably good morning by the time that you see this. Um, it is me again, Tim Spence, also known as your host, Trusted Troublemaker. As promised, tonight we will be discussing loneliness. Now, I think when we think of loneliness, we often misconstrue it with a lot of other things. Before I explain how I personally deal with fits of loneliness I get from time to time, I first would like to talk about the different definitions of loneliness. I think, for instance, you have individuals who say like, "Oh, I can't find somebody." You might hear men say, "Oh man, I just can't find a woman who's into me," or this, that, the other thing. Or you might hear women say, "Oh, we're all the good men," and stuff like that. And that's not to say that you haven't encountered said individual, someone who's into you, because there's somebody for everybody. I mean, there's 6 billion people in the world. It's hard to imagine that nobody likes you. Um, I think it's just sometimes we have this fantasy in our heads of like what we want a certain person to be or to look like in order to see ourselves with that individual. And in order to deal with that, you either have to change your perception of what you're looking for, or you have to put yourself in a position to be amongst the type of people that you're looking for. Um, Sometimes that might require you to change your lifestyle or, look in different directions for the type of person or persons you want to surround yourself with. Um, I see people do it a lot. They feel like they can't find what they're looking for where they're at, so they go looking for it elsewhere. Or we quote unquote lower their standards to kind of just have anyone. Because, sometimes we look at things like it's like instead of being alone, anything is better than nothing, so I'm going to settle for this, which you should never do. I mean, you should never give yourself less than what is going to make you better as a person. Um, Also, I think we misconstrue loneliness as needing attention. Now, think about this, for instance. Have you ever met someone who's truly like has no friends, has nobody that like they can call? Like, imagine looking at your phone, and I don't think over 90% of us have this issue where you look at your phone and you're like, I don't have a single name in this phone. Like, there's literally nobody I could call to even not care. Like, I don't have someone to call who won't care about my problems. Like to call and just say, hey, guess what? Go screw yourself. Like, you don't have anyone who will even tell you that. Like, if you're that type of individual or you're dealing with someone like that, chances are that's probably not someone you want to be around. Because think about it, we all have families, we all have someone, and it's like everyone in your life has this nah, I'm good on that. Something else is going on there, and you might want to look into that to really find out what's going on. And I think when we say we're lonely, it's because we're not getting the attention from the desired individuals we want attention from. Because you can always find somebody to talk to. I mean, you can go to your local grocery store and just bust out in a conversation to some random person's like looking at cantaloupes, and you're like, you know what, my day was just it was just it was just a wham doogly, you know, like they might look at you like you're crazy, or you might just be lucky and say, you know what, screw these cantaloupes. I had a bad day too. Let's talk about it. Matter of fact, let's go grab margaritas. Like, you never know. Like, there's always going to be someone there. Even if they're not there the way that you want them to be, somebody is going to acknowledge your existence every once in a while. So when I say loneliness, what I'm talking about is those moments where you feel, no matter what you're doing, because loneliness doesn't necessarily mean having people around you. I mean, I know personally what it's like to feel like a ghost amongst a crowd of people. I'll never forget when I was living in Arizona, I was supposed to be meeting with a friend, and I eventually met with said friend, but waiting for his phone call, I didn't think he was going to call. We're still getting to know each other, and I was in a bad place in my life, and my thoughts weren't really working with me. They were more so working against me. So I was automatically assuming the worst. And, I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and I was in a public place. I was at Westgate, which is an entertainment district, like an outdoor mall. And I'm just seeing all these people out and about with their friends, families, couples, and everybody's like together and happy. And I'm literally standing in the middle of this center, and people are just walking past me like I'm invisible. And I'm sure they saw me. They're like, what's this lunatic doing standing in the middle of the walkway? Like, get out the way, you bum. Like, that was just me. That was me saying, like, no one cares about you. Like, that was me telling myself that. And it wasn't true. But in that moment, I felt that way. Part of my loneliness as an individual stems from I'm an only child. So growing up, if my parents weren't around and it was just me at home, it was just me. I didn't have a brother or sister who I could talk to or play with. And I think other only children can relate to this, is that we kind of like create this world in our minds that we can always go to whenever we feel uncomfortable, or we just feel like no one gets us or no one understands us, and it just helps us feel safe and comfortable. And I think for people growing up with siblings, especially a lot of siblings, like my parents come from pretty big households, where they had at least more than 2 siblings. And to find yourself off by yourself, it's like you grew up your whole life. You wanted to get away from them. You wanted to when I grow up, I'm going to be by myself, and that's that. But it's like those moments where you really need someone, you're like, wow. Like, there's that silence there. It's just like, I wanted to get away from this so bad, and now it's like, I kind of miss that. I kind of miss having those people around. There was a point in time in my life, most of the friends I have, I can't even call them friends because our relationship is bigger than that. It's like we're siblings. We might as well have grown up together, because I can talk to them about anything. They can talk to me about anything. We can literally read each other's thoughts, and I love that. And when I strayed off the path and I went in different directions, I never knew how to properly say goodbye to people, because I never really had a whole lot of people to say goodbye to. I mean, I went through patches in my life where I moved around a lot, and I had to continue to blend into my environment and figure out where I fit in. And for a long time, I went without friends. I went without having anyone to relate to or talk to. I mean, I was in classes and it was just, but I wasn't a part of what was going on. I was just me, like, and eventually I found people who thought like me, talked like me, felt the same things that I felt, were into the same things I was, and then I felt not so alone. Because the way it worked is that these were individuals who themselves felt lonely. Maybe they might have had siblings, unlike myself, but they didn't feel like they fit into the environment that was around them. So finding that individual that you have that camaraderie with can really take away that whole empty feeling of like, wow, I'm just on a planet by myself. And like now, I'm here in this situation where I moved from Atlanta to Nashville in an apartment by myself. And of course, everything shut down due to the pandemic that's going on. So I didn't really have the opportunity to like go out. And anybody who knows me knows I like going out. I'm a going out type of guy. And so without that, it kind of weighed on me. You know, me and my inner clown, we've had some arguments, had some fights, you know, where it's just like, you're alone, no friends, you're a loser. Like, you know, it's just, I hear that sometimes, and I know it's not true. It's not true. It's like I've done a lot in my life, and I've seen a lot, and I've gone a lot of places, and I've met a lot of people that I'll never forget, and hopefully will never forget me. And, you know, it's just the timing of everything where it's like everybody has something going on, and it's like I can't expect all the attention to be on myself. That's not fair. That's unreasonable. And like, I can survive on my own. I mean, despite the feelings of loneliness I get from time to time, I can function alone. Sometimes I need to be alone. Sometimes I get surrounded by people like, get away. Like, you know, because I went through a part where it felt like people always needed me all the time. They needed me to do something. And I just said, wait a minute, I can't wait to be in a position where I can just do everything I want to do. And it's like, now I'm in that position. And now there are times where it gets really quiet. And I'm just like, wow, it'd be nice to like be around someone that I know or I can talk to, who like we can reminisce about the good old days and stuff like that. And you know, I can always call on the phone, but it's not as personal as having someone right there in your face, and you can look at them and see what their thoughts are, and you know, you can just have that like laugh. You can just say nothing and just have that moment of like, wow, I'm just glad to see you, man. And in order to deal with that for me, you know, I try to limit the time I spend on social media, you know, because a lot of that is, you know, you see people out doing things, and you know, people out clubbing with their buddies and their pals, and they're like, oh yeah, we're having such a great time, you loser. Like, you know, like, and you have to keep in mind that not everything that seems the way it does when you're looking at it from a distance is actually what it is. I mean, those people could easily all feel alone in that moment. They're just out together. You know, you don't always need to see what's going on. You don't always need to feel like you're a part of what's going on and you're missing out on something, because 9 times out of 10 you're not. You know, you get in that moment and you're like, wow, this wasn't what I wanted at all. So I try to preoccupy my time. I try to do things that I really enjoy. You know, I like to cook. I like to write music. I like to write stories. You know, I want to do a lot of things. I want to change the world. That's really what I want to do in a lot of different ways. And it's like, you take those moments that you have to yourself, because now, especially as an adult, and some people, they have kids, they have responsibilities, obligations to other people. And so time to yourself becomes a commodity. It becomes a rarity. It's like gold almost, and it's something that you should cherish, because at the end of the day, it's always going to be you by yourself. You are the only individual that can dictate how your life is going to go. And when you find those moments, don't call it loneliness, just call it me time. Look at it like that. It's time that you have to reflect on who you are as a person, what it is you want to accomplish, what makes you happy, what makes you sad. It's time for you to figure yourself out, and you often get to the opportunity to ask yourself, like, okay, I feel alone now, or I feel like people have distanced themselves from me. What did I do? Or what is it about me? Like, are you not showering daily? Do you bring with you the funk of the 70s? Like, is that what it is driving people away? Are you, like standoffish? Do you have a bad attitude? I mean, that might not be the case, but it's just you have that time to reflect and say, like, when I get the opportunity to enter these situations again with other people, this is how I want to present myself. This is how I want to be seen. This is how I want to articulate my thoughts and my passions and stuff like that. And for me, it's good because I feel like prior to me leaving, I definitely had a lot of instances where people did not get the best representation of me. And I have a lot of time to reflect and look back on the mistakes that I made and how I want to correct them. And so when my friends or my associates or people who didn't even know me that well see me again, I want to be able to take this time to create and become the best individual that I can present to them. And I wish the same for everyone else. And remember, you're never alone. You're never alone. We so often throw pity parties for ourselves because we want someone to break into our homes and feel sorry for us. That's unrealistic. And as long as you're looking for that affirmation, you're going to be disappointed, because no one can ever feel what you feel, because they would have to be you in order to feel that. And you have to take the pressure off yourself and remind yourself that you're not alone, because you always have you. And as long as you're happy with you and you love yourself and cherish yourself and treat yourself, do it. Have a bubble bath, have a glass of wine, do a break dance in the middle of the living room. Cover yourself in jelly if that's what you want to do. Just do it for you, because you deserve it, because you are an individual, a living, breathing human being who has feelings and emotions, and you have every right to love yourself. And the moment you've gotten to that in your mind, and people are going to see that. People are going to see you're genuinely happy. You're genuinely positive and confident with who you are. They're going to gravitate towards that, because a lot of people, despite the facades that they put on, they don't have that for themselves, and they want someone who's going to inspire them to feel the same. And by all means, tell yourself every day when you look in the mirror, whether it's at morning, at night, look in the mirror and tell yourself, I love you. Because you need to hear it. You need to hear that every day. So you don't have to wait on someone else to tell you, because sometimes we can love each other to death, but we just forget to say it. So if you tell it to yourself all the time, you hear it all the time, you look in your eyes and say it, you're always going to feel loved. Because I will tell you firsthand, neediness is very rarely something anybody wants to deal with. It was the end of a lot of my relationships. It was the end of a lot of situations I was in because they just saw like I needed something, like I was a lost puppy that needed like to be carried and held. And it's like, no, that's not sexy. You know, some people, it's cute, some people like projects, but every once in a while, we all get fed up. We all like, I'm not going to take on this grown person who, no, I got my own problems. And don't be afraid to address certain individuals who you feel like you have been neglected by them. Because there's a difference between them being too busy and them not wanting to have the time. If you really feel that bond you're lacking is that great to you, address it. Say, look, I don't know what went wrong or what happened, but I really miss talking to you. I really miss us. I really miss our conversations. I really miss us spending time together, and this at least get some type of resolution as to what's going on between you and that individual or individuals. Because we're all into this together. We're all people. We all, as much as we can do on our own, we still need other people, and that's why they're here. So that's my outlook on loneliness. Some of you may agree, some of you may disagree. It's up to you to figure it out for yourself. But I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Hit the like button if you did. Please subscribe. Once again, my name is Tim Spence, also known as Trusted Troublemaker. I'm going to try and do a little goofy compilation this weekend on my off day, just to kind of get some stress out of my system. I've been feeling kind of so this week. But once again, if you ever feel like nobody's listening, nobody cares, I want you to know I always do. Even if you're a stranger, even if we've never met before, if you feel like you need someone to talk to, please reach out to me and I'll give you as much as I can give. I'll try. As much as I have left, if I'm not too tired, I will try to give you something, because we all need a little bit. I hope you all have a good night. For those of you who watch in the morning when I post this, I hope you have a good day. Enjoy your weekend. I love you. To all my friends out there who I haven't seen in some time, I miss you, and I can't wait to see you all whenever we can see each other. I think about you every day, and I want you guys to know that I am doing well, I'm alive, and I'm trying to make the best of myself. That's all for me tonight, folks. Be safe, take care of yourselves, and be good. And as always, trust me to trouble you.